Hi, I'm Chuck Olenek. I'm a reenactor. And I'm on a mission. I like to call it my mission Odyssey. For years in the classroom, I sought to bring history to life by wearing the garb, bringing in artifacts for my students to be able to handle. And as a colleague of mine phrased it, I tried to bring a museum into the classroom that was student friendly. Well, after 36 years of dressing up for the different time periods, I have an entire room full of garb at home. I have a passion for bringing the past to life and an interest in preserving landmarks. And so what I am currently doing is, on this mission Odyssey, I'm visiting each of the California missions, or the Alta California missions, and the Asistencias. Those are the spin-off missions which were intended to become missions on their own, and the Presidios fortifications, which were built to protect the missions and enforce Spanish policy. And then COVID-19 hit, and my plans changed, because my original plan was to start at Mission San Diego, because everyone starts at Mission San Diego, and you go up the coast. And I would do one Savage Burn up the coast, but I would also include Asistencias, and I knew of 3 of them at the time. And I knew of 4 Presidios. And I would allow myself 2 weeks. Well, while I was in lockdown during COVID, I realized that plan isn't going to work, because I'd be zigzagging all over the map. And my journey would look a lot like this. So, new plan. I began my Odyssey at Asistencia San Bernardino, which is oddly enough in Redlands, and about 30 miles from my home in Pomona in extreme eastern Los Angeles County. And then drove south 62 miles to Asistencia San Antonio de Paula. Now I am driving from San Antonio de Paula to the Asistencia at Santa Ysabel. And once I hit San Diego, then my route will become a bit more normal. Otherwise, I'd be zigzagging all over the map and making myself insane, and I'd never leave San Diego County. And when I mentioned 21 missions, during my research, I found, okay, first I was thinking 21 missions, and there were 3 Asistencias, and then I discovered that there's another Asistencia at Camp Pendleton, which probably means I won't be able to visit that one and get pictures or footage, because I think the U.S. military will frown upon someone in garb posing in front of a building. And there's an Asistencia at Santa Margarita, which is now on private land, so I'm going to go negotiate an appointment if I can. There's an Asistencia under a freeway in Ventura, so all that's left is a marker. And as a matter of fact, there's a number of these that are only markers on the side of the road. So I decided that part of this mission is to preserve that and to dig things out and play detective. So this is the third leg of my mission Odyssey, and it's going to have some similarity to the second and first legs because I'm visiting Asistencias before I actually hit the missions. And right now I'm at Asistencia Santa Ysabel, and there we have a similar origin. In August of 1795, Father Juan Mariner and Captain Juan Pablo Rejalva were sent from Mission San Diego, and they were to explore the back country of the county. And they came through this area, and they went on up to Paula, and that looked like a good site, but the next mission that would be established in San Diego County would end up being Mission San Luis Rey de Francia. Okay, well, now we're going to flash forward a few years. In 1816, the Asistencia at San Antonio de Paula gets built. In 1818, the Asistencia at Santa Ysabel gets built. And the year after that, the Asistencia at San Bernardino de Sena gets built. And these were to originally have been an inland chain of missions, which didn't really gain the traction it needed to with the civil authorities. However, each of the Asistencias did thrive. San Antonio de Paula produced a lot of crops. But here, within a year of the Asistencia being created, it was noted just how many people were converting, just how many neophytes were here, and it was apparently a very large number. Ipai, or Northern Diegueno, lived in small bands. Each band had a primary village and several homesteads located at small sources of water. The church went ahead with its plans for establishing Santa Ysabel. There was a chapel, a cemetery, a granary, many houses, about 450 neophytes. And the Asistencia raised wheat, barley, corn, beans, and had orchards and vineyards. All they needed to be a mission was to have a resident priest there to minister to the goodly number of baptized souls at Santa Ysabel. By 1836, there was much erosion in the structures, including the chapel of Santa Ysabel. This is basically what's left. It was discovered by students from the University of California in 1963. So after secularization took place, it was the Mexican government which controlled the fate of these lands. And in 1844, the area which became known as Rancho Santa Ysabel were given over to Joaquin Ortega and his new son-in-law, an Englishman who happened to be from Hawaii, which makes it sound confusing, Edward Stokes. And they held custody of the land for a while, but within 2 years, the Mexican War was going to take place. In 1846, General Stephen Kearny and his Army of the West passed through here. They camped at the rancho before moving on. They would ultimately get over to Mission San Luis Rey de Francia. A year later, the Mormon battalion came through. The following year, 1848, the war is over, and the United States grabs a whole big chunk of Mexico, including California. And by 1851, a new law was established, which, even though the owners of Spanish and Mexican land grants were told their grants would be honored, they had to reapply in order to maintain custody. And this was a very lengthy, very expensive process. The buildings continued to decay. The bells were finally hung from a wooden frame near the Ramada. From there they were stolen. Former Asistencia lands were given to create the Mesa Grande and Santa Ysabel reservations. 3 acres were returned to the church. In 1924, a new church was built on top of the original site for Santa Isabella, and this church is known as St. John the Baptist. However, everyone around here seems to refer to it as Santa Isabella Mission. So during my research, I had an epiphany. What? Another one? Yes, another epiphany. I discovered there were 19 reservations in San Diego County alone, and that means there's more reservations in San Diego County than in any county in the United States. And that got me, of course, thinking of the cultures that were wiped out or totally transformed by contact with the Spanish, and also thinking of the talk of removing the Father Serra statue from in front of Ventura City Hall, which is a big issue right now, and I understand why, and I agree with moving it to the Mission grounds. But it really got me thinking about something that I talked about with my father when I was a young teen. And this was during the height of the Cold War. And I asked my father, why am I having such a hard time finding anything about Ukrainian history? Because it was always buried in Russian or Soviet or Polish history, but you never really would find it on its own. And my dad told me not everyone's history is written, and it is up to you to find it and preserve it. And I guess that sort of led me to being a history teacher, and in a way the reenacting too. But what struck me is now I'm attempting to find and preserve other people's history. No pressure, right? But that seems like a worthy cause than just simply visiting places. So, the mission just got another layer. Three Asistencias down, 21 or 23 missions, depending upon how you look at it. 5 more Asistencias that I know of. 5 more Presidios. So now it's on to Mission San Diego del Alcalá, which is 48 miles away. I hope you will continue following my adventures.